sampai menginjak tanah. Lagi melayang pun dihantam peluru dan
Boy actually makes it out. And he's gonna have his high ground to play with, uncontested. Playing loud too as a solo, taking some shots, really pressuring that team back. And I think for good reason, because Tem Entertainment looked like they thought they could wrap around to the high ground and get an angle onto Geek. So VChoi having to play very loud, very aggressive, acting like more than just a solo player. Now with this new zone shift, Geek Fam gets the zone. Tem Entertainment might decide they will go a straight shot approach and just push right into Geek Fam. If it was not for VChoi firing back so loudly. Because the better play, I mean, we could see it here, is Tem Entertainment. They wrap around to the high ground, get some angles, and then push in. But they don't know that player of VChoi is a solo player. They might think it's actually, you know, Geek a little bit more spread out, and there's a solo player elsewhere.
And now, what's brilliant about this, as you mentioned, VChoi, they've cut off that rotation for Tem Entertainment. They have to either get into the open, get into the grasslands, use the hay bales quite literally for cover, or pretty much what else are you supposed to do? You can't really take that engagement and then potentially expose yourself to that zone rotation later on, and here it is. Geek Fam, they're going to get that information onto both the Xavier and Tem Entertainment. They've got a beautiful split, they're in zone, they have the advantage, can they make it out?
I almost wish the zone did not shift off of VChoi here. He is also going to have to come off the mountaintop, and as a solo, there's not much that he can do. Tem Entertainment, they have a player in the next zone at that shack.
Ooh.
But it's not much to work with. VChoi down to 1 HP. Oh, nade coming in, falling just a little bit short. He's going to get that first aid off. What is VChoi going to do, though? He's got to pick north or south. Which team is he going to look at? Or is he in zone at the very cusp, on the very edge, on the tip top of that mountain? We'll find out in just a few seconds. He might actually be in zone up here.
Yeah. Ooh, Snipes keeping to the namesake, finding Mormon. Yuhai trying to, again, to the namesake, just up high on the rooftop, looking for an opportunity here to Tem Entertainment. They're reduced down to 3. They have found the Xavier, so this will come down to Tem Entertainment and Geek Fam.
Geek Fam with so much control. This player, Mika, the top fragger out of Geek Fam, can also wrap down to the west and just really pincer them in. Yeah, Tem Entertainment. Oh, nice snipe though by Nexus. That's gonna knock down Yuhai. A shot right back. Yeah, Darude very smartly wrapping to the east, getting that high ground. Great position, but great trade from wide in the open. That is 2 down for the side of Geek Fam. This is a 2v2. All of a sudden, Mika's already pushed up too far to run back for the revives, and Mika goes down! Geek Fam looking like they were in such a great position, starting to fall apart. Yuhai did get revived. Snipes, however, it means that Snipes was not there to support Mika for a trade. Mika, the top fragger for Geek, the top eliminator for the entire of week number 3, taken out. Now things slow back down. Tem Entertainment's time to get that revive in. 3v2 situation. Nexus still rocking that sniper, even this late into the game, this close in the game. Geek is starting to get out-angled. Nexus on the right side, the rest of the team spreading out on the left side. Geek Fam all of a sudden on the back foot. They need at least one opening knock to bring things back to a stalemate of a 2v2. Yuhai goes down. It's not looking good. And Tem Entertainment, where has this team been this entire time? That aggressive push out on the eastern side onto 4 a.m. Never have I seen Tem Entertainment play that decisive, that aggressive when, you know, when it's not completely necessary. And just from that alone, we're seeing a new Tem Entertainment coming into day number 3. I was saying day 1 and day 2 pretty much kind of sets the stage, and day 3 is where teams just hit the grind. Well, Tem Entertainment, they're coming in on day 3 now, swinging out of nowhere, getting a 4v4 onto 4 a.m. Not easy. Winning a 4v4 against Geek Fam from a disadvantaged position, in my opinion, even more difficult, and they took it. Really great win for Tem Entertainment.
I mean, we have to remind ourselves, going into this engagement, it was 4 Angry Men in pole position. It was Geek Fam in 2nd place. Tem Entertainment is sitting all the way in 13th and took on both of those teams and won it out.
Yeah, that's the 1st place team and the 2nd place team that they just won 4v4s against. Man, I can't wait to see what else Tem Entertainment can do.
Tem Entertainment bust out a much-needed chicken dinner here. 26 total points for the store. Geek Fam, the squad that we've seen in 1st place on day 1, day 2, finally putting up some bigger points. And Xavier putting up some consistent points on the board here, Glitter.
You know, huge shout out to Tem Entertainment for closing that one out. We're going to talk, or at least I'm going to talk about Geek Fam a little bit later. Xavier, though, continuing this consistent upward trend, and this is actually huge because the team that was right above them, Vivo Keyed, all the way down there in 10th with not too many points. So this will give Xavier the opportunity to climb up the leaderboard some more. And IHC, a team that we talked about at the top of the show as being much more consistent, having a really solid score here. And even though they didn't do fantastically, the aggression consistency that we're seeing out of 4 Angry Men, out of Geek Fam, I mean, those Elam points are going to be massive when it comes to staying in the top 37.
100%, that will be massive now with this head-to-head. I mean, IHC being able to get those 6 eliminations. We heard about them trying to just narrow down on their last zone gameplay. I have yet to see that, but you know what? Godless, 6 eliminations, 1400 damage. That's some of the most damage we have actually seen from a player. And then on 6, he's being able to get 5 elims with 548. That's great conversion right there. And going back to Tem, I mean, that team had to travel a lot. We saw it in the graphic there when the casters were talking about it. They had, I think, at least 4,000 more meters than anybody else that was in the top 4. That was ridiculous. And I also loved, Glitter, you were talking about Xavier and how some of the teams that they're trying to catch up weren't really performing that well. Same for Tem. I mean, they're trying to catch up Game Lord. They're trying to catch up Furious Gaming. Those teams were only able to get, I think it was 2 or 3 points. So I can't wait to see that overall, Hot Chicks.
Yes! As soon as you said it, I got excited because honestly, this is going to get so close. And you guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this quick break.
again, if you guys did not know, Captain Messi is joining the PUBG Mobile Battlefield. Packed with the Messi football icon set, it's going to help you stand out on the battleground. Grab them in PUBG Mobile now.
Oh yes, indeed. It looks sick. I mean, I've been watching that that advertisement back and forwards, and it's looking fantastic. So, if you do want to wrap it up, go check out PUBG Mobile right now for that Captain Messi pack. But here we go. You were talking about those split drops. Genesis Dogma. I mean, if you want to talk about split, they are more split than any other team I can see. We've got one over towards Cave. We've got one member over towards Dogs. We've got one member over towards Lakawe. We've got one member in the middle of Lakawe and Cave. So yeah, Genesis Dogma right now, very, very split up. It is still very early on Sandhawk. That zone has hit all the way to the northern side. And actually, we didn't even get to talk about that. That northern side, look how much water is involved already on a tiny map like Sandhawk.
Yeah, this is a very northern circle. And if we want to talk about splits, I mean, everybody is split up. This looks like a bingo board almost, where you just can't seem to win. But every little dot is basically taken up. Like 4 a.m. right here, you can see one player in Lakawe driving away, the other player all the way up in Mong Nai. That is the middle point of the Sandhawk map, all the way to the north of Sandhawk. But Besiktas, they have one player all the way just a little bit east of Boot Camp, right? The very first compound you see east of Boot Camp, you have one player there. And then you have here, Besiktas on screen taking a fight. This is like in Bonn. So like, yeah, like I was just saying, and this was before we saw how split everyone was, where I was talking about, over the evolution of time, Sandhawk has transitioned from boot camp hot drops to look for loot, teams have to contest because the map's so small, to teams just eventually spreading out all across the map and looting every little possible nook and cranny they can, rather than taking a straight up 4v4 hot drop fight.
But now this has resulted already in Furious Gaming losing out Milos and now Milovan in a similar situation up against Nongshim Red Force. And for Nongshim, I feel like we've had some very good introductions to them over the course of the last two maps. They started off really strong on a wrangle up against FaZe, picked up a few eliminations. But before that, I think it was Game Lord that they picked up. Then here, now looking potentially towards Furious Gaming. We'll see if they can actually turn that around into a few extra eliminations. Ultimately, do want to see a bit more from them, because we know they've had a few tough days. They've had a little bit of a tough start, but
yeah,
maybe
extremely tough start for Nongshim Red. Down in last place with a 20-point gap, no less, onto the 15th place. But if they are trying to make it into the survival stage, it is not impossible. The thing is, with teams hovering near the bottom survival stage, their point average isn't all too good. So it's not like each game that point gap is going to increase by a huge amount. Whereas if you're trying to make it into the top 3, well, those teams, their point average per game, if you have one bad game and they have a decent game, all of a sudden you're looking at another 20 points you have to cover. So still doable for Nongshim. They still got reasons to fight. Besiktas right here, grouping up together after that huge initial split, and they are playing a blitzkrieg style here. Driving around and just taking a fight with whoever they hear first. Honestly, not a bad idea because of teams being so split up. That just means if they do get into engagement, it's not going to be, or chances are, it's not going to be a full-out 4v4 with the rest of the enemy team close by. It might be, one other player 100 meters off that you have to worry about. But with that blitzkrieg style, second you hear shots, you stop, you hop out, you fight as 4. Chances are you're going to get that point, and you're going to be able to get the revives in as well.
And you're probably going to get out of that situation relatively unscathed if you do win that one out. So Besiktas just looking for those early eliminations, early points. I mean, at the very least, you're setting yourself a fantastic foundation. Few eliminations, coupled with a few placements, that brings you into that consistent performance, metric. Then you can take that further. Then you can bring, forward those crazy games that mean you can make massive leaps on the overall leaderboard. But it all starts with that fantastic foundational points. So now Besiktas coming through from that southern side. Gonna be one of the last teams to join us there, as a few of the others, well, they still have to make quite a far rotation. We saw Genesis Dogma earlier, all the way from Docs and Kampong having to make a rotation. Tem Entertainment just leaving off of Cave, a little bit closer towards Quarry now, right up ahead of them. It could be IHC. And of course, Rejects just below Bootcamp, D Xavier all the way by Tambang. And GK Esports have just crossed Painan. So, yeah, rotations, going to be the name of the game.
Especially with the zone being so far north. We haven't seen a circle this far north for these teams yet. So they're not going to be too familiar with how teams play their splits up in the north, especially for teams that, you know, initially drop in the north. That's the biggest worry for many of these teams. Teams that already have priority positions. There's a lot of interesting splits that can be had. Rejects looking like they're setting up a trap. GK, though, pulling up together as a team. 2 players in the back with that cover fire. Now, this area of the circle, not even in zone, but GK is still playing to their fundamentals, which is having players cover for any ridge lines they go up. And that's going to let GK, you know, not lose any players, and they're going to circle back around and go for a wider rotation, but that's going to cause them to run right into the likes of IHC here. And this is probably a scarier team to run into than the likes of Rejects. IHC, a much more dangerous team when it comes to raw firepower. They will pick up 1. They will pick up 2. GK, which a team that started off so strong in day number 1. Ever since then, they have been falling down and down and down. You see that in the overall leaderboard. 7th place. Now 7th place with only 2 members left.
Reduced down to 2, making that rotation and still getting shot at. It is not looking good for GK Esports here. They don't really have some time to let up, so at least these compounds will provide an opportunity, hopefully, to get some extra loot, extra ammo, extra meds, extra utilities. Definitely would be great to add on, because from here, from this point on, their journey is going to be treacherous. We can see a few other teams making rotations. D Xavier, hello rotation. We don't often see this one on Sandhawk, but here they are, making that way through, and still out in the blue. Quite a far rotation they're going to have to make.
This is all the way in like the southwest. That's a lot of blue damage that they're going to have to eat. This player almost got bandages. Frankie, with only bandages now. He does have a max boost in hand, which is going to come in handy. But this zone is going to start chunking. Luckily, they get out of it. But man, the increased blue zone damage on Sandhawk, that you do not want to find yourself caught in that. Geek Fam also doing a rotation there on that northern side right there. About to come into the edge of zone. Might swing into Cal as their first initial rotation. But the team of 4AM setting up in Cal too. So that could be a potential problem for the side of Geek Fam.
If they do just take more of an eastern approach on that north side, they hopefully should be able to find those few compounds there that are split up. Among the rest, there's no real teams towards that.
Yeah, the boat's so easy to be damaged that the second you hear shots, you need to get out of that boat immediately. Yeah, 4AM definitely did see that boat and took some shots. That's why Geek Fam had to eject. And now D Xavier about to meet the same fate. We're going to see 8 teams swimming. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, Swan out here, keeping an ever watchful eye. He's actually not going to shoot. D Xavier sees that boat and is like, wait, this looks...
They know.
This looks a little weird. And here we go. Here comes that boat ejection. And yeah, that boat instantly blown up. Now we got 8 players in the water swimming. 4AM. We could go on a little fishing trip. Maybe if the circle shifts north, 4AM could just chill here and just farm the water. It's a little bit difficult, though. It's a bit of a distance for them to farm, but not difficult enough. Yeah, it's fun. This guy, long range for 4AM. We've seen Savon with the Mini, with the QBU. Always a player in the back providing that cover fire, and he's been nailing his shots.
What a storyline potential end here for D Xavier. And then, I mean, that consideration has to be Geek Fam as well. Right now, yes, you can see the entirety of 4AM laying siege to D Xavier. Their time is ticking, but does that mean they're just going to leave Geek Fam to swim to shore?
Yeah, I think
I'm not seeing anything with Geekfam.
they're very focused right now on Xavier. I mean, with good reason. They're finding all these eliminations. So Geek Fam is going to be able to swim to shore on the eastern side. Unless if Swan looks a little bit further east and manages to spot some heads bopping in the water, which Geek Fam should better hope does not happen. Because 4 AM, they get the circle. So 4 AM, they're going to be staying here regardless. So if one head is spotted onto Geek Fam, that's going to swing over some more attention from the rest of the 4 AM players to pick up more free eliminations.
We've got 2 members here from 4 Angry Men that have actually head through into this eastern side. We can see the rotation coming through now. Quick Cheng, we've got a little bit of good shower. Or Geek Fam's been spotted out, but in the meantime, it's Besiktas that will be losing player after player. Ooh! Genesis Dogma just feeling the heat a little bit, not in the way that they were expecting, but should be able to get those reses popped on off. I don't see any teams rotating into that center position for the time being, so please don't shoot at your own teammates. It's making me nervous. Got some rotations to happen here.
Oh, yeah, here, yep. Geek Fam is spotted.
It's done.
Let's see. Oh, is that a... Okay, no. I thought another player for him swung even wider to prevent this. That player might be able to get revived. He's very close to shore. If he could just scooch out of the sight lines and get onto shore, can get... Oh, uh-oh. We see one player in a vehicle from 4 AM. I don't think... Okay, taking a look at the minimap. No, this player is not swinging out wider to gatekeep Geek Fam from swinging onto shore. So Geek Fam will make it onto shoreline side. That one player, Yuhai, he's bleeding out a lot. He might not be able to get revived. Meanwhile, on the southern side of things are finally starting to heat up as teams crunch in onto the perimeters on the edges of this new circle. Rejects not in zone. They have a difficult ways to go. They'll manage to pick up 2 eliminations for their troubles. Let's see if they can work together as a team and maybe pick up a third, as this Vivo Keed player, very split up from the rest of his team, but Adrian with the crossfire support is going to make it difficult.
Looking at this now, Geek Fam, I mean, what a gift. The gift of life. The gift of being able to reach the mainland. But will they be able to continue that? Very open grounds for them to cover now. We do know that 4 Angry Men are keeping their heads on a literal swivel, looking for those rotations, looking for those other potential eliminations. Most of the teams moving in from that southern side. Not sure if they will necessarily be waiting for that push from the, well, from basically the eastern side, but they have the information. Frankie from the Xavier, still keeping the name on high, and I mean, in their current position, if King Sheng can't find them, they can maybe ride it out. They can maybe get some placements, at least before the zone said no.
Oh, look at these shots. Very slow, methodical taps. Oh my gosh.
Oh my... Sorry, Falcons. I'm so sorry. What are you supposed to do against that?
Yeah. And I think Swan had to nail like maybe 3 to 4 shots too. From that distance, there's damage drop-off. The further away enemies are, the less damage your weapons will do. So Swan had to nail more than just 2 shots there. Very accurate. And Falcons, that was a 1-3 split. That player that just got knocked very far in the north, away from the rest of his team and away from the new circle. Falcons might, decide to go back up there to get the revive. And they're going to leave Ching Chen here. Or Good Shao. Oh, this is a 2-man gatekeep. Good Shao on the perimeter edge and a compound, and Ching Chen on the high ground behind a rock. This is how you effectively gatekeep without committing your whole team and applying pressure with lesser numbers. Just pick up 2 far different angles and make it seem like your team is literally everywhere. Geek Fam just not being able to catch any break. Really good defensive changes, like positioning out of the 4 AM team.
I'm loving it. They're just picking it up around. They know that they have to make that rotation. rotation. Meanwhile, Tem Entertainment up here against Train to Kill. Train to Kill, they've been so consistent, but Tem Entertainment, they've been keeping us entertained. They brought through those performances, and we're waiting to see more from them. One down on either side. It's been a trade for trade so far, 3-3. Tem Entertainment, they are fighting a literal uphill battle here as Train to Kill are just applying the pressure of that zone. Now moving on in, Tem Entertainment trying to make a dash into the line of fire, into the line of zone. And then they could potentially gatekeep Train to Kill. We can see Rig just barely trying to avoid the damage here from Mormon.
Yeah, this is a lateral battle here. Both teams having to run into the zone. A couple steps here, a couple shots there, constant back and forth as teams as players cross over into the open for a slight second and then to the next cover fire. But it looks like Tem Entertainment is the one that's a little bit more aggressive here. The team that's stopping to take more shots often than not against the Train to Kill team. They'll be coming out ahead. However, one of the Tem members does finally get knocked, but it's a little bit too late for Train to Kill. Too many of their numbers have gone down, and Tem Entertainment has made very, very good ground into the next zone.
Rig making that final dash. Doesn't look like they will be able to make it. To Tem Entertainment, they will win that lateral battle. IHC now going head-to-head with Nongshim Red Force, who are managing to hold on off. Godless goes down. A little bit of an opportunity here to get that res on in. Alex moving in to try and find those confirmations. Sporter just narrowly missing the damage coming through from Alex as they head on into the top floor. An opportunity here to drop down with that DBS could be an absolute whirlwind of damage if IHC can close that gap.
Oh, Alex spotting out the knock player in the back. They were not able to revive that one. Gaulis actually manages to crawl away from a potential finish. And IHC just coming in here so fast. You saw Alex pre-fire that door opening so hard to make sure his teammate doesn't get confirmed. Ooh. And oh, they run out, they confirm it, but that is at the cost of that player getting knocked. Now it's a 2v2. DBS in hand, Alex. Oh, that's gonna be a beautiful stun grenade. Will blind them for a few seconds, but the smoke coming out is going to prevent Alex from following right up. Alex will go in. Zyle takes a few shots of damage. Alex not connecting the DBS shots, however. The much-needed shots, and Zyle getting picked apart from FaZe Clan from inside zone. That's IHC eliminated. Nongshim Red coming out on top, but it's pretty much over for them as well, as FaZe Clan will gatekeep them just as well.
We saw FaZe stepping it up against GeekFam yesterday on Sandhawk. Now, once again, with GeekFam actually out in 10th position, it means that FaZe will be able to pick up a few more eliminations. FaZe up to 6-4, Angry Men up to 7, picking up team name after team name. Geek is finally stepping up. But who's going to be the team right at the end to pick up that winner chicken dinner? Right now, it does not look like it's going to be Besiktas, that's for sure.
Southern Circle shift. This is great for FaZe. We were being very critical of FaZe the last 2 games, making some, just mistakes that we should not be seeing out of such a strong team. But here, 7 eliminations and controlling the Southern Edge very well, playing aggressive when they should. I see these 2 players team up together and wrap around and finish this player off. You have the zone to your backside. You are completely safe. Take care of any potential snakes that's going to bite you in the back later on. They're looking for it. Are they going to commit? I would really like to see them commit 2 players. Just get that quick finish in. I know they finished some of Besiktas. Maybe they feel like there might be 2 more players there instead of just the 1, which is why they're so hesitant. We'll see what they do shortly as Tem Entertainment. They are coming in from the eastern side. The circle did shift south, so that does leave 4 a.m. in a bind. They have to cross over in the open, and same for Game Lord. 4 a.m. though, they got that vehicle. Here they come, swinging in right onto the backside of Tem Entertainment.
Let's move on. It's still holding on the line. However, reduced down to only 1. Ventorius has been a thorn in their literal sides as they're trying to focus on this engagement with Tem Entertainment. They are getting hit from all sides of the zone now, moving in behind them. Game Lords, finding Genesis, Dogma, all of these teams suddenly just erupting in a batch of third parties. It's down to Savant, long range, down to close range. They're going to be able to get themselves out of this one, and it does not look like it's going to be the way for Angry Men will go out phase. They're looking for more eliminations here.
Game Lord making the huge rotation across. They were 4 at the compound north of the road, making the numbers not too important, but the fact that they managed to swing 3 over now onto this side of the map, suddenly this could be Game Lord's game. Last Besiktas gets found. That player is taken out. Besiktas eliminated. Game Lord with 4. Team with the most players up and in a decent position. The last player, though, not able to make that cross. Game Lord back down to 3.
Tem Entertainment riding high with these 9 eliminations, but now they're up to FaZe. FaZe finding the 9th knock, waiting for that confirmation. It's down to Mormon, and I mean, as if things weren't looking bad for Mormon already, now we've got Genesis Dogma moving on up. They've got the zone. They're going to be holding that back line. Tem Entertainment with little to no options. But both FaZe, both Game Lords, and FaZe need to make that rotation while Game Lords just sit on pretty, coming through from that western side of the zone.
And the circle goes to the north, going downhill away from the FaZe team. And Game Lord's putting in work right now. Game Lord will get that reset back up to 2 players. They have the positional advantage over FaZe. FaZe has the high ground, but with this sloping slide, this high ground is not good for you. Tem Entertainment should go down. That is Tem out. We're finally down to the last 2 teams. It's going to be FaZe and Game Lord. FaZe not looking in the right direction. You should be more worried about the left than the right side, as another player will be taken down on the side of FaZe. Game Lord, they have the chance here. Venturas smartly does circle down to get a different angle. MR5 using his audio cues, sprays through the smoke, gets a knock, gets traded back right in time for Game Lord to pull the advantage right back in their corner. Venturas last one up, 1v2. Game Lord doesn't look like they're going to go for the reset. They're going to go for some quick aggressive peeks, but the teamwork is not there. Narvello with no follow-up. Venturas is going to get the first aid off. Narvello playing very cautious here. 1v1. He jumped around the corner. Venturas knows exactly where he is. Venturas has the DBS in hand. He's going to do some pumps, some pre-fires. Does not land. That looked good. And instead, it is going to be Game Lord that takes the win. FaZe, I'll say, looking much better, though I feel like there was a world where that chicken dinner could have been theirs. But Game Lord with a massive comeback. This team has been quite non-existent. Oh, I wouldn't want to say non-existent. They've been doing much better than that. But this is a team that, you know, we kind of had some hopes for, and they have not been performing up to par. But with this win, man, that was a huge chicken for them.
Like you said, those ups and downs for the teams in the last couple of days. Game Lord came into Sandhawk sitting in 12th position.
Yeah.
So an opportunity now for them to just jump on into that survival stage capacity, into that opportunity for them to take it further. FaZe, like you said, we've been so critical from them. They dropped down into what I believe was 10th position, into 10th place.
Yeah.
Now we see a little bit of that resurgence, and Vivo Keed, I didn't see them in those final points, so with FaZe chasing after Vivo Keed, I think they should be able to close that gap. But I do need to give a big shout out to Tem Entertainment. They were those 10 eliminations.
Yeah.
They brought in such a beautiful performance, and over the back of that Miramar where we were like, hold up, who is this team?
What
Welcome
team is
to day
this?
number 3.
Yeah, man, things are really starting to change up on day number 3. I mean, I've always said things change from day to day. You never know what to expect, but this was the last thing I was expecting. Tem Entertainment stepping up out of nowhere. The team that was really far down, and now Game Lord coming in from 12th place, stepping up out of nowhere, getting a chicken dinner just in time for the rest of the day.
And Sandhawk did not disappoint in the slightest. Game Lord winning the chicken dinner here at this one. FaZe Clan right behind them by only 1 point. Not to mention Tem Entertainment going on a tear today, really getting some huge points on the board. This is what the championships are all about, Seven.
Game Lord showcasing a little bit of aggressiveness there. I can definitely appreciate that because this team was not showing that the previous couple of days. Then being able to put up 8 eliminations. To be fair though, Glitter, they tend to land in Cal towards the north of Sandhawk. They really didn't have to rotate much, and you can see right there, Baby from 10 putting up 4 eliminations.
I mean, some solid stats coming out of both of these players. We've got Narvalo with over 800 damage, 4 and 2 elims apiece, but this Sandhawk was really kind of, and we said this could be the time when it happened, but this was a moment where all of those teams at the bottom just really stepped up to the plate. Anybody that needed to have a solid performance, yes, even if they didn't get the chicken dinner, we saw how many teams had double-digit elims. I mean, this was everything we wanted a Sandhawk to be and more.
Big facts. Big facts. I love Sandhawk. It just always is that just perfect amount of hecticness that I love inside of this game here. And it's so good to see teams that really needed those points busting it out here in this one. It's that one that you can really get that big boost in, and they did, okay? There's only a few matches left here today, 7. All right, I got to ask you some questions, okay? Tem Entertainment, how do you feel about their performance so far today, and what are you expecting for them for the rest of the day?
It's been great. I mean, for them to be able to put up 20 points total out of that Sandhawk too, and they're going to keep moving up. And what's impressive too, and you'll see this when we show the teams to watch, they're starting to outperform the teams that are chasing them, which is definitely what you want to see if you want to be able to maintain yourself above that 11th spot, because we saw what happened last week, Glitter. If you don't outperform those teams, then yeah, you might be having a good game. If the other teams are having a good game, you kind of cancel each other out.
Yeah, and I think that when we eventually end up back on the overall, we'll see that those performances are starting to change things up. We knew that day 3 was going to be a big push day for a lot of these teams because nobody wants to leave it to day 4. So today is that moment. We've heard the casters talk about it where you've got days 1 and 2 under your belt. You get the nerves out, find your groove, and settle in for a huge push on day 3. That's exactly what we're seeing now. And now we're at the halfway point of the day. So they know what to expect on their remaining maps for what level of play everybody's at with aggression, Jukes, and I think that these games are only going to continue to get even crazier.
It's going to get insane. And of course, this couldn't be done without our hotel partner here for the PMGC. That's Pullman, Kuala Lumpur, Bangsar. Our world is your playground. Also give a big thank you to our platinum sponsor, Prime Gaming. Guys, go check out Prime Gaming today. They have all kinds of different Prime benefits you guys can get. You guys can get some PUBG Mobile in-game items and a whole bunch of goodies. So go check them out as soon as you possibly can. Well, there's one team that has really been stepping it up, right? Xavier, finally getting on the first page here today. It's time we go and send it over to an interview with them and Tash Bunny.
It has been an explosive matches 1 until 3, and we're already halfway to the night. With me, I have Xavier. I have our player here, and what's really exciting about them is that today is the day where they made the biggest comeback I have ever seen. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Em vui lòng giới thiệu em. Hôm nay chúng ta rất hân hạnh gặp em.
Xin chào mọi người, mình là Vicoi, mình đến từ team Xperia.
Hello everyone, my name is Vicoi. I'm very happy to see you guys here.
Oh, it's really happy to see you too. So, I have 2 questions for you. What do you think is the most important thing that your team needs to improve at during the league stage?
Mình cũng rất là vui gặp bạn, mà mình có 2 câu hỏi dành cho bạn. Bạn cho mình biết là điều gì quan trọng nhất mà đội của mình đã thể hiện tốt, cần phải khắc phục tốt trong cái trận đấu này.
Trong mấy ngày hôm nay thì team mình có khắc phục tốt là đi ball quyết đoán hơn và không bị rụt rè như trước nữa.
These days we will have more decision skill and we know no more hesitate like previous.
No more hesitation and better decision-making skills. That is really exciting to hear. Now, this is my final question for you. Which map do you think has a better chance of your team getting points on and why?
Dạ, đây là câu hỏi cuối cùng dành cho đội mình. Thì em nghĩ là cái biểu đồ nào mà mình sẽ, sơ đồ nào mà mình sẽ chiến đấu mà được nhiều điểm tốt nhất.
Em nghĩ là map Erangel vì đây là map sở trường của team.
I think that the map Essential is the most suitable with all the skill of the player of our team.
Right, Erangel is the most OG map, I have to say, and I have to agree with you because that is exactly the place where you want to do best. So congratulations on your performance today. You have another halfway to go. So for now, guys, get your popcorn because we're going back to the desk for the other 3 matches of the day.
I hope you've already been munching on that popcorn here because today is the most intense day, I think, for the position of where a lot of these teams are. Because, you know, the last day, for anybody who's just tuning in here for the first time, the last day is full with too many surprises, okay? Teams at the bottom got nothing to lose. Teams in the middle, maybe hunting down some other squad. You do not want to be in a bad position going into tomorrow. And let's take a look at the overall rankings. Okay, FaZe Clan pushing up here to the first place. Reject in 5th place, and Besiktas going up to 4th as well here, 7.
From 3rd place to 8th place, only 13 points that are separating these teams. And it kind of worked out for 4 Angry Men too, that were able to create a tiny bit of a gap there from Geek Fam. Those 2 teams are kind of going back and forth there towards the top. And this is what I want to see here. You can see D-Savior actually goes down. And what's impressive to me, Glitter, is that Game Lore, even after getting that chicken dinner, they're still not able to pass Tem Entertainment.
Yeah, I think it's because there was so much time where a lot of the points were being absorbed by the squads above them that they actually had a bigger lead that they needed to chip away at than everybody else on the first page did. Like you said, that was the 13 points separating 3rd through 8th. Those teams are going to continue going back and forth for the rest of the day. Now we're back on Erangel, so there's the potential for those teams at the top to start taking some of those points back if they can't stop the momentum of the ones at the bottom, Jukes.
The ceiling's starting to rise.
Yes.
By the way, I want to point that out. For 11th place, like, we saw them being a bigger gap, but now that the teams at the top have kind of not been performing to the likes of what we saw in day 1 and day 2, the ceiling's starting to rise for that 11th place, and I feel like it's going to be a lot tighter than we think.
Hey, well, speaking of performances, you guys have y'all's teams to watch here going into the next match here as we get the second half of day number 3. I'm going to start off with you, Glitter. I see you got 4 a.m. on there, of course, right?
Listen, I mean, 7 kind of accidentally said it, okay? Because 7 was saying that the teams at the top have not really been performing crazy well today. And that's literally all of the teams that I'm looking at, okay? We're at the halfway mark of the day. And while we've seen some individual performances, some decent elims out of 4 Angry Men, T2K and Besiktas, I mean, it's not what we saw yesterday. That's not the back-to-back chicken dinners. That's not the 17 elim wins. I want to see the teams that are at the top show us why they are at the top right now and really start to turn it on in preparation for the next phase of the tournament.
Even from Geek Fam, you're not really seeing those high Illim matches out of them. Now, I ended up choosing the top 3 teams from Sandhawk, and this is the reason why. Because all those teams, at least before that match ended, were fighting to maintain themselves above that 11th spot. And I mentioned it earlier too, the reason why Game Lore wasn't able to pass up Tem Entertainment as well is because Tem Entertainment was within those top 3 teams. So they're pretty much canceling each other out, and that's what I'm saying. That level for 11th place starts rising. It's actually starting to catch up with 9th, 8th place. Those teams need to be careful.
Yeah. Well, I hope you guys are being careful as well out there and ready for some more Erangel action. Get excited, get hyped. It is Zute and S-Proxy.
We're heading into Erangel once again, and we heard from that interview we just had with Xavier. The map that they're looking for is Erangel. They feel like that's the map where they could get the most amount of points, and they are, on the front page. Now, that last game on Sandhawk, Sandhawk, sometimes you just get the donut just because Sandhawk, it's crazy. A lot of things are out of your control, but I want to see what Xavier's going to bring now onto this Erangel match.
Please, we want to see some of that, action moving on in. I mean, Xavier, again, that rotation, it nipped them, man. It just nipped them in the back. So now we're over to Erangel. We're bringing in a little bit of action, and Furious Gaming bringing in that substitute. So actually, Milo's going out. I wonder what kind of a Furious Gaming we'll be seeing. We mentioned that, our analyst mentioned it on the desk. I mean, 7 has been shouting at them since day number 1. Come on, let's bring in that action. What's happening here? Where's the entertainment? They're rocking, you know, that fade that you mentioned. They're rocking, you know, the sick hits. Now they've got the sub.
Yeah.
Surely this is the Erangel that we're going to be seeing them really head to the top.
Yeah, I could hear Seven laughing in the background. But you're absolutely right. Seven has been, you know, it's almost like every other...
He's been begging, man.
Yeah,
Come
it's
on.
like every other game or every 3 games, Seven will just toss out. Teams I'm looking at, Furious Gaming. Where are you guys at? Where are you guys at? But now, Furious Gaming, this is a team that does have potential to really pack a punch. I mean, we've seen them do it in the Americas, but you're right. Where have they been? So I think it's about time. It's about high time they change it up a little bit. Bring in that sub. It's worked for some teams. Doesn't work for every team, I'll have to say. There's been a lot of sub-ins and sub-outs throughout the course of this. Actually, this week 3, I feel like I've seen more sub-ins and sub-outs than definitely the last week. So this group, man, everybody's really trying to figure out how to get things together, and we're starting it off with the very southern plane path. Once again, this group has had this plane path in particular at least 3 times by now.
And it spells out that the danger, that potential for a ridiculous zone. We've had the southern zone that's matched this quite literally from the base of the flight path all the way to military base. It was just like, yeah, have the west. Then we've had it head all the way up into the north, into, you know, those crazy troll bridges, into the clown bridges as you were talking about them. We've had ridiculous zones paired with this kind of a flight path. So now the question is, will Erangel, for once, be kind, or will it bring in the chaos?
I'm surprised to see 4 AM not dropping down a military base. They usually always do that when the plane is so far south, but last time Geek Fam camped them, and then the time right after that, we had the zone so far north that I think 4 AM is just like, you know what, forget it. We're not dealing with military base anymore. That is going to lead to somewhat of a split drop contestation here. 4 AM versus Furious Gaming. We were just talking about Furious Gaming.
No.
They need to start bringing some action to the table. 4 AM, they had a buggy. They could have left, but they know it's only 1 player, so they're going to take this 2v1. They got to be fast with it, though, because Trigger in the background coming in with the UMP, trying to look for a way to help. Milovan, no armor, no helmet. Just a breeze is going to knock this player down, so he's got to nail his shots quickly.
Gonna be hitting those first couple of shots. He's gonna find the first one. King Shane now out.
Oh my god!
No way! Yes, baby. 7, where are you? You better be screaming right now. Furious Gaming starting us off with a 1v2 clutch.
Man, wait. Was this the sub they brought in? Milovan?
No, it wasn't.
No.
It was.
Okay.
It wasn't, but it was still pretty insane.
I was gonna say, man, no vest,
Super subs.
a 1v2. Maybe 4 AM should have just dropped military base, man. Maybe they should have just stuck to what they've been doing. That was a really well done 1v2. The composure, hitting the shots, the AK, of course, so deadly close range, packs so much damage. But 4 AM down to 2 players just like that, and their lead on Geek Fam, not that big. They could be dropping out of first place after this very game.
Hey, that's super sub for Furious Gaming. Here they are. Getting that also crucial information onto the likes and the rest of 4 Angry Men. And now, in terms of the opportunity here, Furious Gaming, they know they've just taken 2 out. They know there's a little bit of, the obstacle moving into the eastern portion of Gatka. Not sure if they're actually going to be full sending it, because again, all of these engagements, they do come with those risks. I mean, that was a 2v1 for 4 Angry Men, but because we are at the stage that we're at, we're in PMGC, you give any of these members, like we've been saying, 1 little tiny inch, they're going to take you for a mile. They're going to take you for 2 of your players. So an opportunity now, yes, to close out the rest of 4 Angry Men. That might give, Furious Gaming a little bit of leeway onto the top end of the overall leaderboard, but it comes with its own risks.
Yeah. We'll see what 4 AM decides to do now. They're clearing that compound out, very aware that there could be another player close by. Alien Kid had already backed off all the way to the tractor hay bale. So after that little contestation, things are going to calm down for a little bit. The circle as well is not going to really make teams feel in a rush to rotate. We are like just pretty much smack in the middle of Erangel. Very typical zone Nothing too crazy here. There could be a potential shift to the north past the river on Rozhok, but we'll have a much better idea of that on the second zone shift. But for now, I don't think any teams are in any rush to take up any positions in particular.
Tem Entertainment and Falcons. I mean, that's a combination we've been talking about time in and time out here towards Yasnaya Polyana. Right now, both of these teams, they know what's hiding for them on the other side of Yasnaya. They know what's, what potential neighbors they might be looking at. Tem Entertainment, just these last 2 games have been so emphatic with the way that they have been taking those engagements, with the way in which they've been bringing in those points. I mean, 10 eliminations on that Sandhawk, and that was not an easy Sandhawk by any means necessary for them.
No, not at all. We had a quiz pop up just now. What's the largest scope in PUBG Mobile? 12% of people answered the 32x. Good to know who the trolls are. Yeah.
What did that even look like? You could like inspect the leaves on a tree.
Yeah.
From like the top of the hilltop, like, yes, those are some lovely leaves right there.
32x. Imagine using that, like, scoping into someone's head when you're standing right next to them. You could literally see their souls if there was a 32x. Furious Gaming, still very close by to 4 a.m. I think they know this might be 4 a.m. They're coming in very aggressive. I mean, 4 a.m., no vehicles, right? Where else could they go for the next source of loot? I think Furious Gaming has correctly predicted where they could be. Now a 4v2. Can 4 a.m. return the favor and take down at least one member of Furious Gaming? Trigger's going to pop that door open as a bait. Very well done. His other teammate coming in from the other side. This is a 3v1 isolation. Savant goes down. Not even a fighting chance for him. Now it's a 4v1. Furious Gaming, man. Here you go, 7. Here you go. Furious Gaming. 4 eliminations already, and look at that! Some celebratory shots. Pump yourself up, man. Okay, we can't hear the comps, but maybe it is the super sub. Maybe it's the super sub that's just hyping the team up, letting them know we got this, we could do this. We have not seen an aggressive Furious Gaming the entire week. Even when they were forced to fight, I don't think we saw them like put up an aggressive stance.
We haven't.
Right? That was the most aggressive we've ever seen them so far. And what do you know? 4 eliminations to keep 4 alive, and we're only 7 minutes in.
Furious Gaming, keeping to their namesake for the first time in what felt like the entirety of these 3 days so far. Yeah. Match 16, they bring in that, furious action, that furious energy. Maybe they were waiting for that super sub. Like you said, maybe it's the momentum. Maybe it's just the general energy. You know, someone bringing in someone positive into that team can drastically change the mentality of your team. I mean, how many positions have you been in? You know, situations in a team where, you know, things are looking bad. It's been rough. You get that one member in and they're just hyped, man. They are just bringing in the good vibes. They're bringing in that positive mentality. Complete switch up, a 180 performance as soon as that mentality game is strong. So loving the fact that we're seeing that come through here for Furious Gaming. These subs, man, they have been so impactful this week. And yes, like you said, some may be good, some maybe not bad, but either way, for Furious Gaming, it's brought in that action. So now, rotation's going to be the next name of the game. Game Lords making in a lovely little bit of a switch up here towards Everest, but Vivo Keed might have beat them to the punch here. We do see Adrian just a little bit further up, might be coming through on the opposite end, but for now has slowed down.
Very curious. Yeah, both teams going for Everest. This is on the very western edge of the first circle. You can see here now on the minimap, no real reason to contest Everest. Circle shifts. Okay, this circle, it just went from like a pretty normal circle all of a sudden to a very tricky circle. Yeah, we're getting a 50-50 almost. I think that's pretty close to 50-50 between north of Rozhok and south of Rozhok. Now, this is a zone that has been played out quite a bit in competitive. We have not seen it yet for these two groups. Even if these teams have all played a similar situation, it does not make it any easier to navigate this one out.
Trying to kill another team that has been so consistent, holding on to the top slots. Genesis Dogma trying to bring a little bit of shenanigans to the doorstep of IHC, suddenly tasting their own medicine. Alex, the medicine tasted so good that, well, they're going to just go back to the lobby and enjoy it. IHC, they're going to go back all the way to military-based island because they're not having any of it.
Quite fitting for IHC to get camped there, but very surprising. It was Genesis Dogma Gids that did the camping. That's a team that, in my opinion, avoids fights like it's the plague, right? But they're camping out IHC. Okay, Genesis Dogma, I see you. Changing things up. You know, putting in some points, getting in fights early on against IHC of all teams. That might be just to pay them back for what IHC did to them on Miramar, where they like absolutely
100%.
bullied them. All right, so I mean, a point's a point. Good change up for Genesis Dogma. I respect it. Meanwhile, things are really starting to heat up inside the zone as, you know, we get this 50-50 and teams are starting to take up the positions and fight for them as well.
Geek Fam right up alongside Nongshim Red Force. Do we know? And we can see it there on the right-hand side. Feeling a little bit rough these past couple of days, but they've shown some glimpses of hope. They've shown a couple of those engagements that are looking, you know, a lot tighter. They're looking a lot stronger. I'm still waiting for that answer for them. Trying to kill, currently in 6th position. And Falcons, I mean, this potential against Train to Kill would be so much more for them. They're sitting in 15th position, trying to climb up into that survival stage. What a boundary that they need to breach. That's around 40 points to be safe, at least for now.
It's going to be a tough task. Falcons, one of the teams that, you know, also did the sub like yesterday, pretty early into the day, if I'm not mistaken.
And today.
And today. Yeah.
Yeah,
or
was
was
today.
that
powerful. It was
that
powerful that
only
went
today?
out in the last game. I think so.
I could have sworn they
memory's not
also
great.
tried one yesterday as well. I mean, I'm going to have to scroll through the info, but either way, right? Falcons, a team that had previous great performances, but now just really just down in the dumps. We saw on that overall leaderboards. Next circle shifts on out. Oh, this is going to get spicy.
A little bit of Rozak action. Falcons moving on in from the northern side alongside Train to Kill. And from the south, well, take a pick. You've pretty much got majority of your team is making this dash on end. Game Lawns right through Train to Kill. Akashi will take a little bit of that action, a little bit of that damage. Genesis Dogma up here against Besiktas, at least one from Besiktas, who is very, very isolated from the rest of the team. They're still making that rotation in. We've got FaZe that will be joining in with the action potentially soon, at least until that turn-off. So for now, Genesis Dogma, they will be looking at what? Is this a 3v1, a 4v1?
Yeah, but he gets one. Where's the rest of Besiktas needs to help this guy out. He has been stalling for quite a while. The rest of his team has already crossed the bridge, though. So maybe that's why. Genesis Dogma, 2 of them get knocked, but they finally get the trade in. Geek Fam close by, hearing those gunshots. Getting curious. I think Geek Fam actually picked up the elimination, so Geek Fam, yeah, we'll steal that one away. How are they going to decide to cross this bridge? They do have control of the bridge over here with their setup, so they're just going to swing right back. I love the way Geek Fam does this, right? The second they hear an opportunity, they'll take a look. They'll take a peek. And then once they see it's gone or they picked up their 1 point, they stole their 1 point, all right, back to the game plan. We're rotating across this bridge that we've held control of. We're going to go to that wizard tower, which they've, you know, been able to scout out and it's clear. And that is exactly where they're going to set up.
Nothing wrong about picking up a couple of points along the way. You know, it's like a pit stop on a nice long road trip. Gotta get those snacks in. Game Lord, they gotta get those eliminations in up against D Xavier now. But D Xavier, once again, stepping up high. Finding an immediate confirmation onto Game Lords. There is a return from Akashi onto Frankie. D Xavier now with 2 players down. Still a potential for a 4-man squad, but they need to get those reses popped on off. But Game Lord will actually use this as the trigger to push on in.
Ooh, I don't know about this. I'd rather prefer Game Lords push the outside where they got the 2 knocks. Because at most, it's a 3v1 and you deny 2 refis. But pushing into this compound allows Lamborghini to stall as best as he can. And his 2 teammates can also come in and trap in the Game Lords team. This is a not the best of decisions in my opinion. Now you can see Game Lords is completely stalled out by that Molotov. He's got to get his gun out. Lamborghini.
Ooh.
Nice reactions, but why the single man peek? Game Lords falling apart on this push. Xavier though getting a little bit distracted, taking some fights with other teams where the main priority should be to eliminate this Game Lords team that's all trapped in the compound. Here we go, good push from the downstairs. He's gonna try and stick that revive, not able to get it off, and that will be the finish. Game Lord, a little bit of a slip up. Yeah, a huge slip up there. I would have loved to see them push outside where they got the 2 knocks, like I said, rather than trapping themselves in. Nongshim Red pushing against Genesis Dogma Gids here. Nongshim Red been a very, very quiet team, but like you mentioned, we see glimmers of brightness out of them when they do get into engagements. They can fight, they just don't often take it.
I mean, the same could be said here from Genesis Dogma. I mean, this is the first time in a long time that we've seen that aggression, that killer instinct we've been waiting for. And now, again, up against one of the other teams that we're waiting for. It just seems like, unfortunately for us, you know, these teams that really need everything going in coordinates for them, everything going as planned, they're finding one another. So, unfortunately, we'll have to say potentially goodbye to one of them in this engagement as Nongshim, Red Force, and Genesis. They look at their options outside of the zone, having to make that rotation right up ahead of them on that bridge line. It is FaZe. You can see in the bottom left corner. I think that is Furious. Is that Furious Gaming up against? No way. IHC?
Yeah, Furious Gaming against IHC on the northwest side. The southeast side really starting to heat up. You can see in that little window bubble down there, IHC versus Furious Gaming. It looked like it's a 2-for-2 for now. Both of these teams, Nongshim, Red Force, and Genesis Dogma Gids, have to cross the bridge, but FaZe is waiting for them. FaZe has everything set up for the trap, for the camp, and interestingly enough, Nongshim's going to take the fight instead. I think Nongshim might have spotted out a different team taking the bridge, and they realize if they try to cross the bridge, they're going to be trapped between 2 teams, so they're going to take the fight out here, which I do like, but they got to finish it up quick because Blue Zone is closing in.
Couple of nades now being sent on out. Genesis feeling the brunt of the action, not only from Nongshim, but FaZe moving on in as well. Beautiful nade from Saden to find that initial knock. Genesis, feeling so unsettled here as Daybot will go right into the crosshairs. In the meantime, we did say goodbye to Furious Gaming, who did go not only up against IHC, but Vivo Key chimed in as well with a couple of well-placed nades. We will be saying goodbye to them. We might even be saying goodbye to Nongshim Red, because now, baited, battered, and bruised, they need to make this rotation across the line of FaZe and their line of sight.
And Tony K is the linchpin of it all. He's going to let some players pass by him, and then they are completely sandwiched. Nongshim Red Force, they're going to go into the water instead. They don't want to take the bridge, and with good reason. All the sightlines trained on the bridge, and Nongshim Red Force just getting cut down now. Tony K, I don't know if his position was given away. Did he take shots earlier? He did. Well, they definitely know he's down here now after Tony K gets another knock. FaZe doing such a good job here. This is the FaZe I want to see.
Ooh.
Perfect positioning, perfect execution. No players just getting caught for no reason. This is the FaZe that we should have seen all day long, but they're starting now finally to play in tip-top form. Geek Fam will pick up the last player of Nongshim Red Force.
Nongshim not having a single option in that altercation. Like we said, moving on out from one engagement right into another, literally into a bit of a bridge camp. What options do they have? Vivo Keed moving on in from that western side, right behind, trying to kill IHC from the northwest into center. Looks like they might even find the Rejects, who are just hiding into the center compound. Very good position once again for Rejects, and we've seen this before. When Rejects get that center zone compound, they have been lighting up the feed, man. They have been hitting in some massive, massive games. And this is looking like a potential for them once again. But Falcons, they're still in this one. What can they do in this scenario? One of the teams that has the most pressure on Erangel right now.
See how they decide to play this one out. Rejects, like you mentioned, in the center once again, in the hard cover once again. This could be a big game for the Rejects to shoot up, especially with 4 AM going out early with 0 points. 4 AM might drop down. Geek Fam with 4 players on the southern side, by the way. this could be Geek Fam's game to take first place away from the likes of 4AM. Tem Entertainment, they only have 3-0 eliminations so far, but we've seen what they are able and capable of doing. They took out 4AM and Geek Fam, the top 2 teams in this entire lobby, in back-to-back 4v4s. Sure, they don't have 4 right now, but even with 3, if they could replicate what they did similar on Miramar, they could be a dangerous force.
FaZe moving on in. Tem Entertainment right up ahead of them. Maybe potential for a rematch here. Ventorius is going to be going down to the likes of Geek Fam. We'll see how that one pans on out. Tem Entertainment chiming in, adding to that pressure. FaZe Clan, that rotation needs to come in. Heed, as we said, moving in for the western side, and Train to Kill just picking them apart.
Very well done for Train to Kill, setting up that off angle. Geek Fam now coming into the mix of things. This is the aggressive Geek Fam we've been waiting for. They've been quiet as compared to day number 1, but even being so quiet, they're still second place overall. That's just that consistency. But now we might see the monstrous Geek Fam that we saw out of day 1 that took first place at the end of the day. Or no, they weren't first place, but they had definitely the first in terms of eliminations, taking the fight to FaZe. FaZe having to deal with not just Geek Fam, but also Tem Entertainment. Now, these are 2 powerhouse hitting teams, especially with Tem Entertainment proving themselves. FaZe find themselves in a very, very tough position.
Just to add on to the list of teams they need to worry about is Besiktas, still in the vicinity. Tem Entertainment sending out a few nades, a few feelers, trying to see if they can locate a few bits of information. Face down to only 2. Bevy will be spotted out here, but I believe by Tony K. There it is. That run across, Tony K knows exactly where Bevy is. We'll be spotting them out, taking care of them almost immediately. Instant confirmation. We wouldn't expect anything less. Tem Entertainment now down to a 2v2 phase. They need to take care of this. Geek Fam, they are moving up.
Ooh, I think they got a knock onto Besiktas. So now they're going to take 2 fights. They're going to pressure down the likes of FaZe, which, well, FaZe is out. GK actually gets a knock onto Darude. Darude knocked all the way in the backside on the off angle, and then Yuhai at the tree also going down. Geek Fam's pressure all of a sudden stopping to a halt. But Besiktas, they did lose 2 players. So Geek Fam, I think that's a job well done for them. They'll go for those revives and then come back even stronger and hit a weakened Besiktas team.
Tem Entertainment now, they've been given an opportunity here for that rotation. They've been given an opportunity at longevity, a shot in the final phase. I hope that they'll be able to take it, but Falcons will be denying them that northern rotation should they want to take it, should they want to avoid all of this calamity that's happening here towards the southern side. Geek Fam making that rotation, trying to close up the numbers. They need to get those reses on in. Besiktas still applying the pressure onto the position of Yuhai. They do not want that res to be popped on off. I mean, if you take a look at Besiktas, they are running as a duo. That's a duo applying the pressure to Geek Fam.
Might not be enough, though. That revive is going to come through. Geek Fam should go back up to 4. On the western side of things, Train to Kill slowly edging their way in. GK on the south, controlling that huge giant ridgeline. They're in a comfortable spot for now. Next circle, they're more than likely going to have to push over either into Train to Kill or the side of Geek Fam. And if there's any gaps in their defense, they could be looking at a third party by either of those 2 teams.
Geek Fam here in the southern portion. GK Esports now finding their potential rivals for the first couple of days. We'll get a bit of a warning shot. A rotation that needs to be made. A decision here now placed up ahead of them. Do they take this engagement? Do they back on out? As soon as they disengage, they will be disengaging into the path line of Train to Kill. A lot of options. Once again, a little bit of a lateral engagement here that they need to take up the hilltop if they want to get themselves closer to zone. But these trees are the only bits of cover they have left.
Ooh, smoke's blooming, but Snipes manages to spot Gate just at the last second. He's going to push up aggressive here. Geek Fam, just really understanding how to apply pressure. Notice that quick spray of bullets and then instantly right back. It's not so much about getting the knock, but just letting them know, hey, we have our eyes trained on you. Don't get comfortable. IHC, they're going to have to make this push onto the rejects. It looks like they're just going to be edging in, and the only good spot to edge into now is that compound that the rejects have. They're going to drop a lot of smokes down to block off sight lines and get just close enough to start raining in the util. Yeah, the nades, the mollies coming in.
Ooh.
IHC, however, only have 3. This should be a successful defense coming out of the rejects team.
Oh, Tem Entertainment now feeling the brunt of the action. They've run into Geek Fam, keeping their eyes peeled. Already one knock has ensued. Down to 1 member here from Tem Entertainment. Meanwhile, Rejects, we said, from the center, that compound is not quite in center zone. They haven't quite been gifted that next phase, but they're still in contention. They're applying that pressure here to IHC. Zayol, Icy, oh, not looking great. Icy down to only a sliver. One more nade could set it all off. It's the final nail in the coffin here for IHC. Icy has to push up now. There's no other options left, but it is just into the gauntlet.
IHC eliminated. I feel like IHC doesn't push hard and fast enough. It seems like they always edge into the circle and then get paced apart. It happened in Miramar yesterday as well when they had 4 players up. See if they can maybe correct things. They are 3rd place overall, but Besiktas might pass up with their 2 members. Train to Kill now. Looking like they will be taking that fight with GK. Geek Fam, see, Geek Fam applied enough pressure without even needing a knock to make GK push the other way. GK, they lose a player. Jane is still knocked right now in a very, very dangerous situation. No one's going to go for the revive because GK could push at any time. They need all eyes alert and looking this way. Satan goes down. That's another good knock for the side of Train to Kill.
Falcons moving on in, applying that pressure. Geek Fam now 2 down, 2 to recover, but then again, that decision, they have to still get themselves into zone. Falcons, this is an opportunity now to take out the likes of Geek Fam. If they ever were looking for an opportunity to pick up eliminations, to secure themselves into this next zone, it will be now. It has to be now. Besiktas right up ahead of them. They need to provide themselves some cover. They need to give themselves spacing moving on in. Geek Fam still trying to get those reses off. They will potentially get that timing lost in the vehicle, trying to scout out that information.
How is Falcons allowing Geek Fam to get the full reset?
What?
Yeah.
No.
Way too passive, and now they push. Now is way too late. I mean, the run over. They didn't even get the run over. Oh no, Falcon. Falcon. They get a knock, but they're down to 2. It's a 3v2 situation, and just as one of them gets knocked, I was actually thinking about pushing a different team. But now that their player's knocked, they're going to come back around. Good cover fire right there. Swing out high. Snipes jumping out of the vehicle a little bit too quickly. Will get knocked. That's a self-knock. And, well, Rejects, on the other hand, they've had 4 up. They've been playing it safe. Now is their time to strike. There's only 5 teams left.
Rejects moving on in from that northern side. They've had that compound for so long. So much hard cover to work with, but now Geek Fam applying that pressure as they make that rotation down the hilltop. Geek Fam, oh, UI trying to find that vehicle. It is on the edge of exploding. It is on the edge of giving them a way into Rejects, but they just narrowly escape it. They just narrowly avoid that. Besiktas now holding a compound in zone. Geek Fam still moving on in. Train to Kill and GK Esports have been left to their own devices for so long.
This fight is about to erupt into a 5-way fight. Rejects doesn't have to get involved unless they want to. They do have a ridge that they could use to abuse, though, right in front of them. Yeah, and you see them moving up now. Right next to that crate, Train to Kill on the flats right above. Reiji's gonna drive over, maybe spot out a head or 2 in the grass. It's gonna give them good info here. Yo, he definitely spots that player. Oh, he drives a little bit deeper, gets a knock, and here comes Justice with the trade. He goes down, however. I think. Oh, and GK from the edge will chime in. Train to Kill down to just 1 member. I think they eliminated one of the reject players. Yeah, the one reject player drove a little bit too far deep in. When will get confirmed, that puts the reject players down to 3. Justice should be able to get revived right here. Unless Geek Fam being the ever so aggressive Geek Fam. Yuhai's in a perfect position to stop the revives and actually cut down the entire Rejects team. He's got to hit his shots though. Duello driving way into the blue zone. Rejects, everything is falling apart. Justice gets right behind the rock. His feet was sticking out for a split second, and Yuhai catches the toes. All down to one member, and Train to Kill is going to take this time to take the fight with Besiktas. Besiktas comes out of the house unscathed. The entire Geek Fam team was watching the house the entire time, but they're going to change their sights onto the Reject players. Divine with a valiant last stand will get one, gets traded, and Besiktas trying to take advantage will get knocked down by Darude, watching the flanks. That's another trade. Zessi, 1 versus 1 now. Geek Fam going for the revive. Besiktas doing the same. Geek Fam will get the revive first though. Mika healing right on up. Mika, the star player on Geek Fam, the top eliminator. Zessi, you can't go for the revive now. It took too long. A great wrap turnaround, bringing it back down to a 1v1. This is so back and forth, and sprays through the smokes. There we go. That is the Geek Fam chicken dinner that they've been looking for. This team, with a very explosive day number 1, has been just quietly staying in the top since then, but now they're back and forth. They're back with a loud, tremendous chicken dinner, and a well-timed chicken dinner as well, because this is the match that 4 a.m. went out in first place with 0 eliminations. And most valuable player, Yuhai, you saw him doing a little dance right there, definitely celebrating the win.
I mean, we went into this match, we went into this wrangle, and at that moment, Geek Fam were 8 points behind 4 Angry Men. Now picking up that winner chicken dinner, that is going to shoot them up ahead. That is going to give them an opportunity to finally reset themselves, redeem themselves on day number 3, to give us that performance we've been waiting for, to give us the Geek Fam that we've been treated to on day number 1, that dominance that we've been waiting for. Again, I think that's over the back of that decision from Falcons to not push in when Geek Fam were at the most vulnerable, to allow them that full reset.
Hey, you know, usually I criticize teams for not playing well, but hey, Falcons, I'm glad you didn't, because that Geek Fam put on a show afterwards. So yeah, good job not taking out Geek Fam, I guess. But man, Geek Fam, I just love how they're constantly looking for opportunities. They were getting smacked down after the Falcons fight, right? Rejects was shooting back, but they still sweeped around. Yuhai went for that flank, took out RC, and then ultimately that led them to the chicken dinner.
And Geek Fam is back, baby! 32 total points. You saw the excitement from those players. Man, that is what we have been waiting for. That is a heck of a game for the side of Geek Fam. Reject put up some good points. T2K, Besiktas hanging on right towards the end right there, but with only 1 elimination, 7.
First of all, for Geek Fam, for a team that didn't get a single chicken dinner yesterday and they were able to get one in day 1, I'm glad to see them back. And you said Besiktas being able to at least get 1 elimination when you get 2nd place, that's just not good enough. And then we got the head-to-head right here. Yuhai, 8 eliminations, 1,000 damage glitter.
Okay, some very impressive stats coming out of Yuhai and Geek Fam, looking like they're a little bit back on the come up. T2K having a decent performance themselves as well, but the problem with this match was that it was almost the top 5 of this game matching the top 5 on the overall. Not in the exact order, but the teams at the top did well all at the same time. So we're gonna have to see if that does anything, Jukes.
And then, wait, hold on, Jukes.
Something.
We saw a bit of a spoiler play there too. I was getting flashbacks to last week, Nova versus Knight. I know it's not the same, but Furious Gaming taking on 4 AM super early on, eliminating those 2 players, and then at the end continuing to chase 4 AM, being able to eliminate them. And you saw a little bit of BM. You saw them shooting them boxes. You saw them trying to hype themselves up. It didn't ultimately end up working out, but maybe this might be a little bit more aggression that we expect out of Furious Gaming,
like it.
hopefully.
Hey, I saw it and I was just like, it's a bold strategy, Cotton, but it didn't work out for them in the end. Let's go ahead and take it to a quick break, and we'll be right back.